in motion, sending goods, services, and ideas not just across the state, but across the world. And when the work ends, the day's just beginning, with beaches like West Beach in the Indiana Dunes National Park, exciting hiking and biking trails like the Diana of the Dunes Dare or the BMX track, and local treasures and exciting festivals, you'll know you're in more than just a bedroom community. From veterans of foreign wars to hometown heroes, our diversity is our strength, and we forge our future with the same flame as our steel. Oh, there's a place in the Midwest, and it's calling you home. The best part of Portage is what's next. The best part of Portage is you. There's more for you in Indiana. There's a place in the Midwest, 50 miles southeast of Chicago, nestled near the coast of Lake Michigan. It's a place driven by what's coming next, a place where industry is the lifeblood of its community, and its pulse is gritted with sand and steel, fire and smoke. It's a city building its future together, one business, one family, and one home at a time. This is a place for makers, doers, and dreamers. It's where the global marketplace meets hometown values, where Americana isn't just a tradition, it's a way of life. Here, your experience makes the difference. With access to railroads, major waterways, and 8 different highways, this is a place in motion, sending goods, services, and ideas not just across the state, but across the world. And when the work ends, the day's just beginning, with beaches like West Beach in the Indiana Dunes National Park, exciting hiking and biking trails like the Diana of the Dunes Dare or the BMX track, and local treasures and exciting festivals, you'll know you're in more than just a bedroom community. From veterans of foreign wars to hometown heroes, our diversity is our strength, and we forge our future with the same flame as our steel. Oh, there's a place in the Midwest, and it's calling you home. The best part of Portage is what's next. The best part of Portage is you. There's more for you in Indiana. There's a place in the Midwest, 50 miles southeast of Chicago, nestled near
Move on to roll call.
Mr. Jackson?
Present.
Mayor Bonta?
Present.
Mr. Little? Present. Mr. Simpson?
Here.
Mr. Fleming?
Here.
Ms. Lesko? Here. Mr. Bergens?
Here.
Attorney Dogan? Present.
Okay, move on to approval of minutes last meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting.
Second.
Okay, any discussion?
I did, at the very last sentence, when they were talking about parking lot extensions, I think I must have been misquoted or something. I don't know. I don't think I said that the original design had an extension for parking for public parking. But I don't know where we're from, but just wanted to say that if I said that, it was out of context.
I can update it to reflect.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, move on. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, minutes pass. Let's move on to treasurer's report, buddy.
Okay, we're going to Marina.
Marina's got 308,778,000.98.
Port Authority's got 111,815.26.
Motion to approve.
Any discussions?
Yeah, just one quick, I see we got the $300,000 in revenue. Which fund did that come from? Did that come from the DNR, or did it come from redevelopment?
That is the 300 from redevelopment. We still haven't got reimbursed from DNR.
Thank you.
All right, let's move on then to claims report.
Motion to approve the claims.
I'll
Sec-
second that.
All right, we have first, second, further discussion on claims. All in favor of passing, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, claims passes then. Committee reports. Tom, anything?
Nothing extraordinary to report.
Okay, thank you. Marina Facility, Barb?
Okay. Marina report dated today, 12/12/2024. All the bubblers are in and working as designed. I've ordered 6 new 3/4 horsepower Casco bubblers to replace a couple that have failed and to keep a few in stock to replace when needed. We're getting anywhere from 3 to 5 years of life for each bubbler, and it varies due to the amount of the debris that collects in certain areas of the marina. We are collecting deposits for 2025. Out of 214 slips, we have received deposits for 55 slips. Central Maintenance, Dan and Terry, have been changing the fixtures in the bathrooms to LED, better life and longer lasting, plus all restrooms have motion-activated sensors. All marina fire hydrants have been repaired with the exception of one, and that's the one that's by the marina office. Parts have been ordered, and Hill Fire will return December 24th, 2024, to finish the repairs. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineering dredging is complete. In the next few days, Purdue University West Lafayette will be coming to the marina to launch and to take samples from the area dredged. Looking back on the 2024 season, these are just my comments. I have not received one complaint about people fishing at the public fishing pier. My advice has always been to call Portage Police Department if you feel threatened by somebody fishing at the pier. And I have also not been informed that any slip holder fell into the water until the last meeting when I read the notes. The metal support beam for H gangway has been ordered, and once it's received, installation will take place, weather permitting. If there are any weather delays, it will be installed before the 2025 season. We still have 7-finger piers on order. Flotation docks has been swamped with orders placed ahead of ours, and their new ETA is February 2025. I do believe that they said that it would be earlier in the month. So all finger piers will be installed before the 2025 season. And just another note, marina office hours are Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that completes my report.
Okay, thank you, Barb.
You're welcome.
Dave, update on safety.
I have no new information or nothing to report right now.
All right, thank you. And planning and development. I know Matt is here tonight, and we want to continue our discussion on where we're at with the bids and our decisions.
Good evening, everyone. Last month came and presented the responses that we got for the fish cleaning station. At that point, it was kind of put on hold to look and see if we could find some more funding options and for the board to consider it a little bit longer. We did hear back from the feds that they do not have any additional funding for the overage on this, and that we would need to stay and work within the budget that we currently have. So at this point, we're looking to the board. I did speak to Hassie, who is the lowest and most responsive bidder, and they did indicate that if they were chosen, that they would be willing to work on some value engineering in order to help bring that cost down back within a tolerable amount. So with that, I would look for the board to move forward so that we do have, I believe, 2 or 3 more days to secure the contract notice of award with HASI, or we're going to have to pull this back and then rebid it.
If we select, but we don't yet have the funding identified, does it start the work, or is there a difference between, selecting and waiting until we have the funding to start the work?
Yep. We have time to work with them on value engineering after they're selected. So then we can sit down, go through, see what they can find in efficiencies, see where we can find some additional efficiencies. We still need to stay within our grant opportunity, but DNR did indicate that they understand the predicament, and it's not just here, it's happening all over right now with the bids coming in higher, so they understand, but we still need to hit the major points of the grant.
Okay, before we have other discussion, I'd like to see a motion, and then we can open up for further discussion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, first, seconds on the floor. All in favor of passing this motion to move on to valuation?
We have discussion first, don't we?
We can open discussion, yes.
Thank you. I saw different numbers on how much it was over. Somebody said 170, somebody said 180. Could you have an actual number of how much we really are over budget?
I have it somewhere.
As he's searching, what I would say is that we should keep in mind that this is if not common occurrence, it is a normal occurrence in government that you put out for something and it ends up costing more than you expect it to. And so the remedies for what to do when that happens, it can vary, based on the project, based on the entity, based on what funds are available. But just to note, it's not something irresponsible on this board's part that we had a reasonable expectation of what we thought something would cost, and then multiple factors. And as noted, we even talked to a former mayor of Warsaw. Everywhere costs are coming in much higher than anybody would have expected at the start of when you're planning these things.
Right. The exact amount is 555.01.
Thank you. Yeah, and Mr. Mayor, I'm not blaming anybody, but my concern is where are these extra funds going to come from? The Marina Fund needs to be used for the marina itself and its infrastructure. We have many docks to repair and lots of further expenses to come. So my main concern is that funding does not come out of on the backbone of the marina slip owners.
I would agree with that, completely. We can't be taking money, that's being used specifically for the maintenance and care of the marina to pursue something, such as this. I think that was really the heart of my question, which I should have asked during this portion. I apologize for asking it before there was a motion about would it work out okay if we were to proceed with the lowest responsible bidder to then work with them on the engineering to see what we can get it down to. And also, quite frankly, do we like what we get it down to? Value engineering is a great term, to put it simply, but at the end of the day, sometimes when you see something valued engineered, you don't like the product, offered. I should be careful what I say because that sounds like doom and gloom. But it's just to say that I'm comfortable with proceeding with the motion based on the idea that it allows us to now work with sorry, I almost said developer, with the construction company on what they can do. And then we can make a decision of how much money we need to bring in to either get what we want or to make an assessment on what they can offer is what we want.
Do we have any idea where we could get the money?
So earlier this month, yes, that's the right term. It was either very, very end of November or, early in December. I started kind of brainstorming, spitballing a number of ideas, and they range from creative to just, out there, Mayor, don't even repeat that again. But all said and done, we have some resources. I think that the challenge would be, we're already using RDC money for a big piece of this. I know as the chair of the RDC, asking for more from the RDC would be very, very challenging going into 2025. One thought I had, although all said and done, I mean, we'd have to check what's there. Do we have any park impact fee money, left? But that creates a whole different conundrum because it would have to count as a park, which we're not the park department, So that was just an example of something thrown out there that might not be as legally, sound as you might need, but it's just a thought of where we have funds and ways to use them. We explored the idea of reaching out to some corporations that might be interested in making a donation, towards. One of the more disappointing things that happened this year was we had been in, and we have a wonderful relationship with the Port of Indiana, but they were interested in potentially getting rid of one of their, fishing piers that they had at the port. And in exchange, they were looking to offer to build or donate towards one in the city of Portage. And I was pretty excited about that because it almost seemed to fit in perfectly. And then in October, I was informed by the port, and we got a lot of great things going on with the port, but they said, unfortunately, Mayor, DNR isn't letting us get rid of that pier that we were talking about getting rid of. So not our fault, not their fault, but it's just an opportunity of something that seemed like a very good idea until, that didn't work out on that end. So I think that if we're talking about bringing people in, we certainly might want to reach out to people like Buzz Crone, Dan Bowditch. They can be sometimes I think Barb and Jeff, you guys know Dan, I believe, for sure. I'm not sure about Buzz. So we still have resources to use to come up with ideas. Now, realistically, what are we going to find is kind of a different question, But I think that that's where we have to figure out what can we find and where does what we find meet with the value engineering.
Other discussion, clarity?
Just one more comment. I mean, so far, we've spent a lot of money on this. All the funds for this have come out of the Marina Fund. Yes, now we're getting reimbursed, but I still don't feel comfortable saying, let's go ahead without finding other sources of income. So to me, I would say we should wait until it's value engineered to begin with before moving forward, and that's how I'm going to vote.
If you could clarify for me, Matt, I think that they can't value engineer it unless they're selected as the bidder. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, the bidder has to be selected for us to enter into value engineering. If we were to rebid it, then we would be the one who is doing the value engineering, guessing on what things we could do to take out to make it a little bit more palatable. And then it would have to go back out for public bid, and then we'd be getting new bids in at that point.
And on that note, selecting a bidder is not the same thing as committing to going forward, especially if cost is a factor.
Correct.
I believe that maybe we should check with legal too. I trust you, but just to hear that from the attorney as well.
That is correct.
So we can effectively say this is the next step in the process to determine what the final cost is going to be, and then the gap that we may have to fill.
Would agree with that.
I think every bit of that makes sense because we don't know until we know. And obviously, this project is in front of us, and the components of it are very clear. And we didn't expect this, but we got to find the solutions to such. Other discussion?
So let's say they do get it down a little bit and we still don't get the money, what happens if we say okay to this?
Well, if we say okay to the bidder, and let's say, just use the darkest example I can, let's say that they can't get it down enough and we can't get the money up enough, well, then the responsible thing is to not proceed, because if we don't have the money and we can't afford it, I mean, that's just how things go. And I hate to guess now that that's the conclusion, especially because we know that there's things we haven't tried, there's people we haven't talked to. It's just to say that right now is not exactly the point where we know that we can't afford it or that it isn't going to work out cost-wise. That could happen, and it could happen quickly, or it could happen in a while, depending on what the company is able to offer. The other element is, and I I only throw this out because I try to think of everything for the sake of transparency. It could be that we find enough money and they find enough cost savings that they meet, but maybe we don't like the product we can afford, with that. That's a whole different discussion. But just to explain, there's actually a couple examples besides we can't afford it or we can. It could be we afford it, but it's not what we envisioned, I can't speak to how any individual person on this board would feel, though, what's the word I'm looking for, about making that particular call, because if the goal is just to have a pier, that's one thing, but if it's a special kind of pier, that's a different thing.
Other discussion?
I guess I would wonder, if you talk about communication, about the value engineering, is that primarily your responsibility, Matt, to meet with the company and work that way down, and then you'd come in and present something? It wouldn't be like a committee from this board, working with them. It would be your function as the engineer, is that right?
Correct. Yeah, I mean, it could be a representative as well to be a part of it, to make sure that the biggest components of it are still getting done. What are we looking at value engineering out?
Not stepping up to volunteer, nor am I stepping to volunteer anybody. I just wanted to make sure we had a point person for that part of the process.
Yep.
So to clarify that, are you proposing we put a committee together to make that decision?
I'm not. I'm very comfortable with Matt. I just wanted to make sure it was clear that
Okay.
Matt's our go-to guy for the value engineering review part.
No, I fully agree with that. Yeah. All right, let's move on then to vote. All in favor of passing this, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion passes. All right, Matt, move forward and advise how we can be a part of.
Okay.
Okay? All right, thank you.
Thank you. You guys, have a good, nice Christmas.
We'll move on to old business. Carl, do we have any update on the bids for the docks?
I haven't seen anything new since they sent the original stuff. Have you?
the originals, yes, I have not gotten back to anybody for updates or anything. So the three original quotes that we have are the ones that I have also.
Okay.
So are we expecting a response back with updated bids?
Well, the dock committee hasn't met to decide exactly what, we have one meeting, we haven't really decided how to proceed, because the three bids that we received are there's a lot of moving parts to each bid, and we need to sit down to discuss exactly, do we want electrical, do we want water? There's a lot of different variables in this. Or do we want just a basic quote for docks?
The committee will convene on that and be reporting sometime near future? Okay. All right, thank you. Other old business? How about new business? Anything on new business today? Public input? We have one here. If you would state your name and address. And
Good Citizen, Portage, Indiana.
your name is Good Citizen?
Yes.
Noted.
And thank you for noting my name like every other member of the public's, name. Just want to thank you all for your service and engaging in really good dialogue back and forth, giving the correct thought and input, thinking about the city, the future, what's important, and making important decisions. And, from the outside looking in, looks like taking it very seriously. So the public likes to see effective leadership, leadership that actually, does things. And that was, my appearance. So thank you for that, and have a great holiday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a nice holiday.
With that, then, I see no other public input. We can move on to adjournment.
I'll motion for adjourn.
Okay, we have first and second. I wish you all a Merry Christmas, and we will see you next month. Next year? Here, too, yeah. Stay warm.